Oil paints, I feel like, were a surprise for people in the mini painting hobby, specifically using oil paints thinned with mineral spirits as a wash. This technique has been around for a while now, and I wanted to try it for myself. Disclaimer: this is my first time using oil paints ever, so proceed with caution if you decide to follow what I'm doing.
Oh, Jesus. What the How did that get out?
I had the notion to start small. I knew I wasn't going to be using any other color other than black, so this small tube of Mars Black from the 1980 brand is all I needed. This and a smaller tub of mineral spirits. It's the Mona Lisa brand. Yeah, this one. This is what Blackmagic Craft used, so I trust it.
It smells like smoke, kind of.
I wasn't quite sure about the thinner to paint ratio, but I felt like it was safe to assume more thinner than paint. Just gotta smudge a little bit. Yeah, there we are. Then using a pipette, douse it. If you'd like an exact measurement, I guess 1 part paint to 3 parts thinner. Side note, I don't understand parts as a unit of measurement. Doesn't make any damn sense. I mixed that together in a tin lid, and I'm pretty sure this is right. I got these ultramarines here that'll be my subjects. Before applying any oils, I did all the base coats first, but waited on painting the eyes and doing any OSL. Before I went and drenched this all over them, I used the test model first to see how it would react. As soon as I touched the brush to the model, I realized I should have tried it on one of the grunts and not my captain.
Whoa, jeez.
Too late now.
Okay, I think that's it.
I waited about an hour for the wash to set before the grand step of wiping it off. These foam makeup swabs are perfect for this. I noticed my swab wasn't pulling enough oil away at once, and that's because I forgot that I had to dip my swab into a bit of mineral spirits beforehand. The mineral spirits reactivates the oil, which helps it pull away. I believe foam swabs are better than Q-tips for this because Q-tips will leave fibers behind and will dry into your model. The whole point of this method is to wipe off the oil wherever you can reach, and leave it in any panel lines, cracks, and crevices, creating more depth. One step I didn't want to do was applying a gloss varnish over the model before painting on the oil. A gloss varnish will help the oil flow better into the deeper areas, but I don't like glossy finishes and didn't want to deal with fixing it later. The oil wash worked just fine without it. Another product that gives a similar look is Tamiya's panel liner. I thought maybe I could use this instead of all this oil nonsense, but the way the ink settles on the paint looks odd to me. And it isn't meant to be used like a wash, so I'll stick with oils for the future. I was pretty happy with the results, so I did a full send and blasted the rest of the marines with the wash through my airbrush. Now wait, I had a concern with this. Oil through an airbrush might seem like it spells death for it, at least it did to me. However, on one of Ninjon's paint projects, he used oil washes through an airbrush and it seemed to work without issue. So I went for it. In the aftermath, I found the cleaning to be a bit more tedious. However, I got a much more even covering of the wash on my model compared to using a standard brush, so I didn't mind. Wait a few hours for the oil to set, and dig in. I want to mention some conflicting thoughts I had during this process. Again, on Blackmagic Craft's video about oil washes, he mentions he let the oils dry overnight and was able to work with them the next morning. Meanwhile, on one of Zimikito Miniatures videos, he left his minis overnight and the wash ended up staining his minis. It looks like his ratios were off, using too much paint and not enough thinner. I didn't want my marines to suffer the same fate, so just to be safe, I gave the oil 2 hours max to set, and I found it worked perfectly. After cleaning, they're still not done. The oil would take a while to dry completely before I could apply a matte varnish to them. This may just be me being overly cautious again, but I wanted to make sure they were mostly dry before I varnished them, in case the oil and varnish had some kind of reaction. So I gave it a few days. In that time, I'd come back to them and found that the oil could still be activated by the mineral spirits, but was still solid enough to not rub off. And even if it could be, it took a decent amount of pressure for that to happen. For cleaning my brush, I didn't wash it around in my water cup, despite my instincts telling me to. In a tin lid, I gave the brush a mineral spirit bath, washing off the excess oil. Even after about 3 days, the oil still reacted to the thinner. I took a hand towel and wiped off my brush until not much black was coming off. Whatever brushes you use for oils should now always be for oils. This is where your cheapo brushes that you abuse come in. With the oils finally dry, I finished painting the marines and went to varnish them. Don't mind the warriors, I prime and varnish in batches. At last, I had 8 ultramarines ready for the field. I feel like the only thing holding me back in this process was myself. When you try a new tool or technique on our miniatures, it can be really scary, simply because we spend a lot of time on them. We don't want to ruin the paint job we spent 20 hours on or the base that we made look awesome. One mistake and it invalidates all of our work. While that fear is very real, we have to embrace that if we want to make progress as artists. I mean, this wouldn't be as fun without some risk, right? If you're on the fence about using oils for your minis, just ask yourself, do I like how this looks? If you said yes, try it out. If you said no, then don't worry about it. There's more than one way to achieve this look. If you like this video and want to see more hobby videos from me, show me some support down below. You know how. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.